What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Reformed Reader, the channel where we review different forms of media through the lens of a Christian who is under the authority of the scriptures. My name is Josh, and today we're going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag. Now, I haven't done any book tags before or any of the book tag videos, but this one seemed like a lot of fun, and so I was like, you know what? I think there's some questions on here that I don't know the answer to yet, and maybe you guys would like to know and would like to join in with me and see where I'm at the middle of the year, because it's been a little bit of a tumultuous year for me. And so, yeah, we got a few questions here, and I'm going to give you the best answer that I can. So starting with question 1, it is, what is the best book you've read so far this year? And I'm going to have to say it's probably Guard in the Garden by Z.S. Diamani. Now, this book is a cozy fantasy. I have never read a cozy fantasy before, and I was really struggling with my reading journey at this point. I had DNF'd so many books consecutively, and I was just kind of burnt out on fantasy because it seemed like everything that I was reading that was in the fantasy genre whatsoever was just filled with things that I don't want to be entertained by. And so I was like, you know what? This just came out. This seems like the kind of book that I need for this time. And on top of that, Zach, I know, is a brother in Christ. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pick this up and give it a read. And man, it was just absolutely phenomenal. I've talked ad nauseum about this book. I have a dedicated review for that book somewhere right in here. So I highly recommend you go check that out. But Guard in the Garden by Z.S. Diamani so far has been the best book that I've read this year to completion. I do expect that to be usurped within the coming weeks. So this leads me to question number 2, which is, what is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to? And this is going to be Of Empires and Dust by Ryan Cahill. Now, I have already read all of his The Bound and the Broken series up to this point, and they are right here. I'm caught up with the series. Maybe there's a novella that I haven't reached for yet, but I think I've read it. But this book came out, I think, this past month, early this past month, maybe even in April. I can't remember, but man, it is so thick. I just don't think I've had the energy that is needed to be able to invest into this book right now. And so I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to wait. I think I'm going to hold off a little bit. But yeah, I really look forward into diving into this one. And I know he just put out the cover for the last novel in the series. So really excited about that. And to see what's going to go on with the broken binding and Ryan, this is going to be really interesting. But yeah, the one that I haven't read yet, new release that I haven't read yet that I want to, is got to be Of Empires and Dust. All right, question number 3. It's a big one. What is the biggest disappointment of the year so far? And this one is easy. This one is Morning Star by Pierce Brown. Man, I was so bummed out by this. It hurt so hard to have to DNF this book that it put me in a heavy reading slump for weeks. I don't think I picked up a book for a couple of weeks because I was so upset that I had to DNF this book, because I absolutely loved books 1 and 2. And you can see all that. I've made videos for each book and what it has been like and what my reading journey has been like for the past few years, where I will get so invested into a series only to be disappointed by certain things that I just don't want to be entertained by anymore. Yeah, that's by far my biggest disappointment of the year is Morning Star. Question number 5. Which book surprised you the most this year? And this one's probably going to be the Monster Hunter International series. I really didn't know what to expect with these books. I'd heard, it's sort of Dresden Files-y kind of thing. And I was like, okay, well, I'm caught up with the Dresden Files, and I've been really looking for something similar, especially something on audio that I could listen to, because the Dresden Files I pretty much consumed entirely through audio. And so I was really looking for another good audiobook, something that had to do with monsters and maybe even urban fantasy. And so when I had heard about MHI, I was like, yeah, I think that's going to be kind of what I'm looking for. And I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy this series. I may actually enjoy aspects of it more than Dresden Files, and I absolutely love the Dresden Files, and so that's saying a lot. And I'm only 2 books in, and so yeah, probably the most surprising is I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the Monster Hunter series, and I plan to continue it. All right, the next question is going to be, Who is a favorite new author, debut or new to you? And this one is probably going to be Z.S. Diamani. He's the author of Garden the Garden. He's also written an entire fantasy series, the Stone and Sky series, which I plan to jump into. I actually picked up book one last month right after reading Garden the Garden, and I just realized, okay, I still need to wait on fantasy for just a little bit, and so I don't want to go into this already with the attitude of I'm not in the mood for fantasy. So I do plan to jump into Stone and Sky soon. Yeah, favorite new author to me is going to be Z.S. Diamani. All right, the next question is, who is a new favorite character? Now, this is going to be new to me, and this is bar none going to be Edmond Dantes from the Count of Monte Cristo. And I actually had a close second as Abby Faria, also in the Count of Monte Cristo. I so love Edmond Dantes' character. This book is shaping up to be possibly my favorite book of all time. It is so fantastic. Now, at the time of recording this, I'm just a little past 20%, but it is so good. Now, for those of you who watched the movie or maybe grew up with the movie, the Jim Caviezel movie, like I did, I loved that movie. It gave me the love for the Count of Monte Cristo. It's what made me pick up the book to begin with. And I've read through the first half of the book twice, but I'm currently working on actually completing it at this point. But for those of you that know, this book right here is so thick that it's an investment. And so it's probably going to take me the majority of the month to finish this book up. But man, oh man, Edmond Dantes' character is unique. And that's saying something. He's truly unique. There is so much nuance into his character. There is so much nuance into his motivations and into his circumstances that I don't know that there will ever be another character that is on par with Edmond Dantes as far as his complexity, his intrigue. Full circle favorite. He's probably my favorite character of all time. Okay, the next question is, what is a book that made you happy this year? Now, I could go with the easy answer and say Guard in the Garden again, because that's that cozy fantasy book that I was talking about. It's definitely a happy book. And I started to, and I was like, well, yeah, but if I can list more than one book, what would it be? And then I thought about it, and I'm like, I'm going to just sort of come at the question a little from a different perspective, rather than saying what book made me happy, as in what is a happy book you read this year? What is a book that actually made me happy? And this is going to be Darth Maul Shadowhunter. And the reason why it made me happy is because it revitalized and completely revived, really, my love for Star Wars. It was exactly what I was looking for. Now, I do not think that Darth Maul Shadowhunter is flawless. It definitely has its flaws, but I overlooked all of that. And it's because it felt like Star Wars. And so getting to open up a book and to start reading a Star Wars novel and to be thrown back into the universe that you know, remember, and love, and that has not been tainted like it has been for the past, 10 years now. That's what I've been looking for. So I would say Darth Maul Shadowhunter made me happy because it revived my love for Star Wars. Okay, and the penultimate question is going to be, what is the most beautiful book you've purchased or received so far this year? And for me, it's got to be book one of the Rift War saga, which is Magician by Raymond E. Feist. And this is the Broken Binding edition. And I mean, it's gorgeous. I mean, I've done, I talked about this in my monthly check-in video. I made a YouTube short about an unboxing of this book, and it is just absolutely beautiful. I believe the artist is Jeff Brown. He does amazing work. As a matter of fact, on his Instagram, he showed how he completed this art and the different layers that he drew in order to get this finished look. And the interior art is stunning on both the front and the back. But then also the naked hardcover. Look at this. That is, man, that is awesome. That is well done. and it wraps all the way around. This has been the first book that I've got where I considered leaving the dust jacket off because the naked hardcover is just so cool. But at the same time, I mean, it's really hard to pass that up. So most beautiful book by far is going to be Magician, the Broken Binding edition of Magician by Raymond E. Feist. Okay, and the last question is going to be, what are some books that you still need to read by the end of the year? And I'm in trouble with this one because there's a lot. I posted a video at the beginning of the year that was 25 books for 2025, and I have scratched several of them off the list, but nowhere near what I would like. I definitely am not going to be able to complete that. I was definitely overzealous there, but I have scratched a few of them off the list. But because I'm such a mood reader, it's hard for me to set like an in-stone TBR. I don't really like planning out and mapping out my reading. I kind of just like to read whatever I'm in the mood for. And that tends to really work out for me is, if I'm in the mood for like a pirate story, I'll reach for, Live Ship Traders. Or if I'm in the mood for something that's really deep in like epic fantasy, I'll reach for something like this. But sometimes I'm just in the mood for like a mystery novel. So because of that, I don't really set a TBR. So I don't do TBR videos because I will never adhere to them. So what are some of the books that I want to have read by the end of the year? There's quite a few. One of them is going to be Lonesome Dove. I definitely want to finish that one up. Another one is Malice by John Gwynne. Another one is Of Empires and Dust by Ryan Cahill, which I've already talked about. Another one is going to be The Dragonbone Chair, which is going to be right here, and start with that series. And so you can see kind of a common thread here. Another one is going to be The Will of the Many by James Islington. Again, these are all super thick books. And so each one of these is probably going to take me several weeks to finish. And so if I'm just basing it off of this, it's going to be difficult for me to get them all done. But then I've got some on here that are a little more obscure. Like one of them is the Eisenhorn Omnibus from the Warhammer universe. I also really want to read a book by Guy Gabriel Kay. I don't really know which one yet. I've heard A Song for Our Bone, I think is how you pronounce it, or Tigana is a good place to start. I like the idea of either one. Tigana has a cooler cover to me. And so that might be the one to reach for. I'm not sure. But then I also want to read a couple more self-pub books. And so I really, because I loved Luke Scholl's Soul Cage, I really want to read A King's Radiance by Luke Scholl. And then I think probably in the fall or winter, I'm going to read Sword of Kaigen. And I've heard that's an excellent time of the year to read that book. And also I've been waiting on the Wraithmarked edition to get shipped out because I would like to have the book physically to read it rather than just read the ebook. I have a feeling that I'm going to be waiting a while. So I think I'm going to go ahead and jump into it probably in the fall, maybe closer to November. And then the last one that I want to have read by the end of the year is Pilgrim's Progress. It's one that's been sitting on my shelves and it's been staring at me, and my friends have been berating me about not reading yet. And so I plan to jump into that one pretty soon. I've said that for 6 months now and still haven't picked it up, but I do plan on picking it up soon. When? I have no idea, but it will be read by the end of the year. And there are numerous other ones, even on the shelf behind me, that I would love to have read by the end of the year. But thankfully, I'm not going to be able to do that. And the reason I say thankfully is because that means I have, Lord willing, plenty of time to read a lot of great books. And so because I have limited time, limited free time or reading time, I want to make sure that reading time is quality reading time. And so if I'm just not really jiving with a book, or if it's making me a little bit uncomfortable, I have no qualms, as you guys know, to DNF a book or to put it down. Now, that did not used to be the case, but it has been over the past several months, since starting this channel, maybe a little bit before. Yeah, I really want to read quality over quantity. Now, I do have a goal, like a reading goal that I would like to hit, but it's not a priority to me to hit that reading goal. I think I have like 40 books that I would like to have read by the end of the year. And, I'm not too far away from that now. I'm not overly worried about quantity, but I really want to get into some quality books. But because a lot of the quality books that I want to read are such thick books, then that means I will not be able to read a bunch of them, and then I'm going to have to invest time in them. Also, almost all of them are like part of a series, like Dragon Bone Chair, Will of the Many, finishing up the Lycanius trilogy. I'd like to get into the first binding. I've got some Warhammer novels right here, finishing up Ryan Cahill's series, Monster Hunter. I mean, it seems Rhaenyra seems like series after series after series. And so the way that I tend to read is if I really love a series, I want to like fly through it. I want to binge read it almost. And so I've had to sort of pump the brakes and go, okay, which series do I want to start and try to finish before I reach for another series? Because the way my brain works, I probably have like ADHD or something, but it's going to be difficult for me to pick up Dragon Bone Chair and then wait months down the road to pick up Stone of Farewell. I would have to probably read those back to back just for my own personal tastes and preference and sanity. So yeah, quite a few books that I would like to have read by the end of the year. So guys, I'd love to know what your answers were for some of these questions. Leave me a comment down in the comment section below. I would love to see some of you guys post a video and let me know what are some of the books on your list. What's been your favorite book of the year so far? Who's been a new author that you've picked up that you've absolutely loved? What's a new favorite character? What's been the biggest disappointment? That's always a good one. Yeah, let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.